What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and I really hate being right, but I was again today. It's so obvious. The problems are so obvious, and yet the master tactician can't see it. And it's shocking to me, because all it takes is just watching, just pull up the footage. I'm sure you can tape the game at your house or something. With all the vast amount of money you have, you probably have cameras set up so you can watch the game, you can analyze it, you can break it down. All right, so here's what went wrong today. Here's the things we need to fix. Here's the things we need to work on for the next game. You get all of these things. You probably have people dedicated to doing stuff like that, making sure that they break down each aspect of the game. And yet, for some reason, they still go into this game without a recognized striker. Now, the one thing that I will say did hurt us today that Conte couldn't help is the fact that Conte got sick. You can't help that. When you lose one of your best midfielders, you can't help that. I'll give him that. But you go in today without a recognized striker again. The one time that has worked has been against Barcelona. You know why? Because they don't put high pressure on you. Or at least high and hard pressure. It's a different style of play in La Liga. In the Premier League, anytime we've utilized that, guess what? It hasn't worked. You know why? Because we're trying to play out of the back, and teams in the Premier League will press you up high to no end. And what team has done that better than any other team this year? Man City. Which forces us to do what? Kick it long. What do you have up top? No height. Not enough strength. You don't have somebody that's going to win the ball out of the air. So we send it long every time, and guess who wins it every time? Man City's defense. And it played exactly how I thought it was going to. We were going to sit back and defend the entire game. They were going to get that one breakthrough finally that was going to get them the goal, and then they win 1-0. You know why I knew that? Because it's exactly what we did when we faced them at Stamford Bridge. Murata went out early, so we switched to that front three. They had a majority of the possession after that, majority of the dominance of the game, and they got a late goal to win it. It wasn't that late this time. This time it was right after halftime. But yeah, they get that one goal, and that's all they need. Because we don't have enough going forward. Because we don't have a recognized striker up there. And the fact that Conte cannot see that none of the coaches can see that, the fact that they decided to use that again, it just boggles my mind. The fact that we played so damn scared today boggles my mind. Because you look at the Man U game, first half we dominated the Man U game. Second half, for some reason, they came out looking scared. They came out like, okay, we're going to sit back now. We're going to let you have a lot of the possession and a lot of the attack. We'll let you come to us, and then we'll deal with that. I don't know why. I don't know what changed at halftime, but that's what they went with, and Man U dominated possession, dominated the play, and then got a late goal to win it. Today, we started the game scared. Sat back. You guys have possession. You guys take it. You know how many teams sat back against Man City this year and it worked? A big, fat, whopping 0. You know the one team that's beaten them this year? You know what they did? It was Liverpool. They just went at them. They just attacked them. They actually put pressure on them. They put them under pressure. Not enough teams have done that this year. Don't get me wrong. I understand. They can play quick 1-2s. They can pass it around you all day long. But when you've got the quality we have, it shouldn't happen. They should not be able to pass around us. We should have players marked up specifically. We should have our midfielders cutting off the passing lanes. But instead, we got a bunch of stagnant people. So we've got 10 players behind the ball, but none of them are actually defending until the ball gets near them. I don't know whose thought that was. I don't know whose idea that was to say, all right, so when they have possession, you guys just stand there in a line, in a flat back 5 and a flat 4 midfield, and then Hazard standing up top. I don't know whose thought that was, but whoever that is needs to be fired this instant. If it was Conte's idea, get him out. Because it was embarrassing to watch. I mean, there was one point in the game, in the second half, they were already up 1-0 at this point. Just watching Otamendi and I think it was Kyle Walker, I don't remember who it was now. They were just passing back and forth. They were just like making fun of us almost. Like, they're not even coming near us. We could do this for the rest of the 30 minutes. I mean, it was just so embarrassing to watch that we didn't want to try today. It was like we were just waiting for them. And it's not like we're tired. We played last Sunday? I mean, that was a full week ago. We had a full week of rest and recovery. You're telling me that we're already exhausted to the point where we can't even put pressure on them when they enter our half of the field? We got to wait until they pass it in, and then at that point it's already too late, because once you get in behind our midfield and at our defense, that's where Man City thrives. And honestly, it should have been more today. If not for the fact that our defense was solid, I felt bad for them. Like, those back three have just been completely not helped by Conte's tactics in the past 2 games. His decision to sit back and defend in the second half of the Man U game and the entirety of this game, it just kills the defense. I know, because I play defense. I know how it is whenever your team decides, you know what, our midfield is just going to kind of sit there, and then we're going to let the defense do a lot of the defending. I mean, that works you. That wears you out. When your team is so defensive, but they're not actually defending. When the midfield is kind of letting the guys in behind and not tracking runs and not man-marking. As a defender, you have to now step up into the midfield to make a challenge because your midfield's not doing it. And so, tactics killed us today. Once again, Conte's tactics killed us today. Not for the first time, not for the second time, for at least the 5th or 6th time this year, Conte's tactics killed us today. And we got embarrassed. It wasn't an embarrassing scoreline by all means, but we got embarrassed on the field. The fact that we hardly created a chance today is embarrassing. I don't think Henderson had to make a save because we never got one shot on goal. That is embarrassing. As far as individual performances, I mean, it really is hard. I think I said this in the last game too. It's hard to sort of judge them individually because I think the tactics made some players look better and worse. Just because, I mean, when you play defensive, your defense looks fantastic and your midfield is kind of eh. You know, Hazard wasn't involved at all today. Not his fault. I mean, once again, he's put up as the isolated striker. You put your best creative player as the isolated striker with no help, trying to get on the end of long balls that the defense is just running him over because they're bigger and stronger. How does that help you? Putting your best player isolated, how does that help you? So once again, tactics killed a couple of our players. I would say Hazard and Willian were probably the biggest hurt by the tactics today. But there were a few that just were awful today. Of those that were awful, Fabregas, Alonso, Pedro. Fabregas, giveaway after giveaway after giveaway. Just his head was not in the game today. I don't know where he was. But, God, his passing was the worst I think I've ever seen from him. And coming from Fabregas, the pass master, I was shocked. I was like, seriously, you can't even find one simple pass today? What is going on? Pedro, kind of similar. Passing was terrible. You know, just... I want somebody to count his passes. I wanted to see his pass accuracy today because it had to be below 50%. It had to be. I mean, he made a few simple passes, obviously, but I swear every time, oh, we might have a counter. Oh, no, Pedro's got it. It's over. So, yeah, he's just awful today. And then Alonso, I still don't understand. Like, Emerson obviously got on for a little bit today. From what I saw from him, you know, didn't really see a whole lot. But the one thing that I saw that he has over Alonso is he has the speed to keep up with Bernardo Silva and not let him in at the back post. At least I hope. I don't understand. Why is Alonso still our best option there? He's not. He's not good enough. Defensively, he loses track of his man. He's not fast enough to keep up with pacey wingers, which most of the teams in the Premier League have. Passing-wise, God, how many times did he give away the ball today? Too many. There was one moment where we had a good run of possession. We were keeping it moving, you know, passing it around. It goes to Alonso on the left side, and then it's like slowed down. And then they push 3 guys over, and then he gives it away to Aguero, and now they're on the counterattack. It's like all of that great possession. We're finally working ourselves into the game just for a little bit, and then Alonso gives it away. And now they're back on, and now they have the ball for the next 20 minutes. So I'm sick of seeing him on the field, honestly. I'm sick of seeing him just not give enough, not push himself as he should be. It's embarrassing to watch. That is our best left wing back. It's not good enough. It's terrible. The other individuals, Courtois, obviously on the save should have done better, or the goal should have done better. For some reason, he's already going to ground before the shot has even been taken. I mean, that's not good enough. You should just be coming across the goal, ready to react to it, not sliding, hoping that he's going to drive it down low as it bounces over your head. So he wasn't good enough there, but the rest of the game, he had to make some good saves. He did well enough. As I said, all three defenders were solid. Rudiger, out of the three, was probably the least solid just because some of his passes today were pretty poor. Bad giveaways, lumping it forward to nobody whenever he had some options in front of him. So it just felt like he wasn't really on today as far as keeping the ball. But obviously, Spilicueta was the best of three. Great goal line stop. Just all around very solid, and once again showing why he deserves to be captain over Cahill, even when Cahill's on the field, to be honest. And then Christensen was just kind of in between, had a couple bad moments here and there. I do think his mistake is part of what led to that goal. The ball gets lumped up forward, and he doesn't really take a good touch, and it lands right in front of him as Aguero steps in to win it. So, yeah, that one mistake does sort of lead to the goal, but the rest of the game, he was solid enough. So, Moses on the right side, had some moments here and there, didn't really help us that much, but didn't really hurt us either. He was just kind of that in-between player that wasn't really involved. Fabregas, already talked about him. Drinkwater in the midfield kind of grew into the game in the second half once we started getting a little bit more time on the ball and actually started playing a bit more. We did play for probably like the last 15 minutes-ish once Giroud came on the field. Of course, at that point, it's already too late. That sub should have happened 60th minute, not 75th. But, Conte. He's going to wait as long as he can to make a change because, heck, why would you want to change the game whenever you're losing 1-0 and have no possession of the ball? That just stupid stuff. So once we grew into the game, that's when Drinkwater started to show a little bit more. He started to win the ball. He started to be more energetic and keep the ball moving. But for the rest of the game, he's just kind of a non-factor in the midfield. And then, like I said, Willian Hazard not helped by the system. Willian had a few moments where he was on the breakaway, but the only option he has is Hazard, and he's one man. He's covered by three defenders because the defenders have nobody else to look after, just Hazard. And whenever all you have to do is look after Hazard, yeah, you can nullify him. It's one of those things where Hazard works best when he's in behind a striker and he has other people to play off of and also to draw defenders' attentions. Because if he's the only one that the defenders have to worry about, they just triple team him, and now he's out of the game. Whereas whenever he's in behind the striker, he can lay it off to the striker, draws the defenders over to him, and now all of a sudden he's in a bit more space, and there's only one defender on him, and he can take on that one defender. But whenever you put him up top as a false nine, and he is the target man, it nullifies his game. That is not what he's good at, and yet, for some reason, we still continue to do it. And we still continue to suffer, and he still continues to suffer for it. And you can just tell he's looking so dejected when he comes off at the end of the game because he knows he didn't play well because he wasn't helped by the system. The system does not help him. And people are going to wonder why he decides to leave in the summer. Well, because the coach isn't helping him. The coach isn't giving him the freedom he needs to play. He's going to go to all these other teams. They're going to be like, yeah, play wherever you want. For some reason, Conte, though, is just like, no. You're going to play up top whenever I need you to. You're going to play up top. We're going to isolate you and completely nullify your game because that is what we need at this team. We need to lose games by nullifying our best player. As far as the subs that came on, Giroud came on, a bit of energy, and ironically, that's when we stopped our long balls forward for some reason. You put on your target man. All right, guys, now let's try to work it out of the back. Hello. So that was kind of weird, but ultimately we did have a bit more going forward just because Hazard was now dropping deeper and getting on the ball and creating a bit more. And so that's when we started to have a bit more joy on the ball. But then brings on Emerson for Pedro. He worked pretty hard but didn't really create as much as Pedro did. Not necessarily passing-wise. Obviously, once Pedro passed, that's when we lost it. But he still did have that work ethic to win the ball back and then a quick change of pace to get away and actually cause the Man City defense to have to run backwards. And then, of course, he passed it and give it away, and then the attack was dead. But before that, that's where That's where his game does shine. Unfortunately today, though, it doesn't matter whenever you've only got one option and he's triple teamed. It doesn't matter if you're able to poke the ball away from him and get away. And then last up, Murata came on for Hazard because, you want to take off your most creative players. So yeah, he came on, didn't really do much. Kind of typical Murata. He hasn't provided much for us recently in any games. So that's about it. Honestly, yes, we are 5 points outside of the top four, but the problem isn't these past two games. We knew these past two games were going to be difficult. The problem is we lost to Watford, we lost to Bournemouth, we've lost to Crystal Palace, we've lost to West Ham. Those are the games where we didn't get the job done, and now we lost all 3 points in those games, and now we're 5 points outside of the top, trying to get wins against Man U and Man City at their place. We shouldn't be in that position anyway. But the fact that we knew we had to get a win today, we knew we had to keep in touch with the top four, and we didn't do our job. Conte just completely drops the ball again, drops the ball against Man U, drops the ball against Man City. We got Barcelona on the horizon. I mean, it's not looking good for us. It has been a mediocre year that is slowly fading into an Arsenal type of year. And that's not good enough. And so either Conte's got to get his head together and just say, all right, this is leaking, or this we need to stop the rot. We need to try to end this year on a good note and try to end in the top four. So next year we can come back, get some better players in to replace some of these players that are dropping off in form. Something along those lines. Or he needs to be pushed out the door. Because at times it feels like his decisions are very apathetic, and it leaks into the team today. You can see nobody is really trying in the last 20 minutes before the sub comes on. You got so many players just standing and watching as Man City passes it around. I'm just like, okay, yes, are they the best team in the league this year? Yes, that doesn't mean you treat them like they are. You play them like they're any other team, just like we did against Man U in the first half. Who cares that they're Manchester United? Who cares that they're having a pretty good year in the league this year? You play them like they are any other team, and you dominate the first half. But then you treat them like, oh, but it's Man U, guys. Oh, no, it's Man U. And then you get beat 2-1. And that's the frustrating thing about today is that we treated them like, oh, guys, it's Man City. Oh, no, we gotta play them like they are the best team in the world right now. And yeah, you just let them have the ball. You let them look like the best team. Sure, they're easily the best team. But once you put pressure on them, once you actually try and work hard, we can be one of the best teams in the world too. But we don't act like it. There's a lack of confidence, there's a lack of effort, there's a lack of caring right now that is just killing us. And it's so frustrating to watch from a fan perspective because all I can do is just sit here and complain about it on YouTube. It doesn't matter what I say. Ultimately, it comes down to the coaches at making the right decisions. The players aren't really giving it their all. And here we sit in 5th place, 5 points outside the top four. Not in the we got knocked out of the Capital One Cup, or whatever, the League Cup by Arsenal. We've got the FA Cup still. We've still got the Champions League. But, I mean, both of those could easily... We're against Barcelona, at Barcelona. We could easily get knocked out. If we hit like a Man City or a Man U in the FA Cup, easily get knocked out. And so it just feels like it's going to be a trophyless year because we don't care enough. We don't have enough players working their butts off every game. And it's just going to end in obscurity. And we're not an obscure team. That's the most frustrating thing about all of it. So that's it from me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this game? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews. And I'll see you guys in the next game. Peace out.